Caitlin Clark's rise was supposed to symbolize a new era for the WNBA, but now she's at the center of a growing standoff that threatens to define it. One of the most polarizing moves in recent negotiations is the league's proposal to eliminate team-provided housing, a benefit that supported players since 2016. The message from league officials is clear. With players now poised to earn up to $1 million, it's time to handle personal expenses like professionals. But for many, including top talent like Clark, this isn't about money. It's about principle. Stripping away housing support is seen as an unnecessary regression, especially when paired with demand for year-round commitment to an increasingly inflexible schedule. If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe. The clash reflects a deeper philosophical divide about what it means to be a professional athlete in the modern WNBA. While the league touts historic salary increases and expansion goals, players are calling out what they see as a contradiction: financial growth paired with lifestyle cutbacks. Clark's refusal to accept these terms signals more than discontent. It's a warning flare from a new generation unwilling to trade foundational support for optics-driven progress. The league is banking on professionalism to justify cuts, but players are demanding that respect come with investment, not withdrawal. What's unfolding isn't just a contract dispute. It's a defining battle over how the league treats its stars and shapes its... So, the league offers a record-breaking salary, a potential $1 million payday, more than double what most players have ever seen. On the surface, it looks like the WNBA is finally stepping into the professional spotlight. But then, right in the middle of the celebration, they rip away player housing. They propose a season schedule that undercuts rookie integration, and they expect players to smile through it like it's progress. And Caitlin Clark just made that crystal clear. According to multiple reports, Clark has refused to suit up for Team USA in protest, not because she doesn't want to represent her country, but because she's done being silent while the league plays a double game. A league that waves $1 million contracts in one hand and yanks away critical support with the other. This isn't just one player taking a stand. It's a message, a shot across the league's bow. Because at the face of the WNBA is publicly backing out of Olympic exposure, the conflict is no longer behind closed doors. The negotiation table isn't just cracking, it's breaking in full view of the... Here's what triggered this. The league's most recent proposal tossed in a major upgrade to the salary cap, promising top players potential to earn 7 figures. That sounds incredible. It's historic. But buried inside that same proposal was a quiet elimination of one of the most crucial player benefits: team-provided housing. Gone. Players are now expected to pay for their own accommodations, even in cities with high living costs, even if they're constantly on the move, even if they're earning significantly less than the max. The league's defense? You're professionals now. Handle it. Except, that's not how professional leagues operate. Not when they're still building. Not when their structure relies on continuity and cohesion. And definitely not when rookies and mid-tier players are still fighting for financial stability. This is where the professionalism narrative starts to unravel. Because professionalism doesn't mean cutting basic support systems. It doesn't mean forcing players to scramble for housing while juggling schedules, media duties, and cross-country travel. It certainly doesn't mean pulling benefits mid-negotiation while calling it growth. And Caitlin Clark isn't buying it. She's not alone. The timing of the league's scheduling proposal, starting the season in mid-March, has created chaos. That change will put the start of the WNBA season directly in conflict with the NCAA tournament, which is arguably the biggest pipeline into the league. Clark knows this firsthand. She came through that system. She knows how vital those final weeks of college ball are, not just for development, but for visibility, storylines, and fan buildup. And now the league wants to rip that away. Rookies like Clark would miss training camp. They'd miss early season games. They'd walk into a team midstream, behind on reps, behind on chemistry, and expected to catch up in a pro environment that's suddenly stripped of housing support. And if you're a fan, you'd miss watching your favorite new players from March Madness hit the WNBA hardwood in real time. This isn't a small tweak. It's a structural disruption. The league says it wants to avoid competing with the NFL. They want summer dominance. But in doing that, they're gutting the one calendar rhythm that's actually working. The flow from March Madness into the WNBA draft and rookie debuts. They're chasing ratings while cutting off the roots. And international players? They're not spared either. The proposed prioritization clause will require them to be physically present in their WNBA markets by the season start, or be suspended, which sounds like a firm policy until you realize how many players rely on overseas leagues to stay financially afloat. Many international stars play year-round, and their schedules don't neatly align with the WNBA's evolving demands. So now, with Clark's refusal to join Team USA, the WNBA is facing public resistance. Not just negotiation tension, but real protest. From the player, they've centered every major broadcast and marketing campaign around. That's not drama. That's a red flag. The owners are trying to frame this as a professional evolution, a necessary step toward making the league real. And yes, on paper, the salary increases are huge. Average salaries climbing toward $500,000. Max deals potentially touching $1 million. That's major. But that growth is being used as justification to cut support, to remove housing, to shuffle schedules around established calendars, to risk international partnerships. And players? They see through it. They're not just rejecting the changes. They're questioning the values behind them. The union isn't backing down. Core benefits like housing aren't just line items. They're lifelines, especially for younger players or those with families. Without them, the league becomes less accessible, less sustainable, and frankly, less attractive for future talent. You can't sell professionalization while pushing costs onto players. That's not professionalism. It's privatization of risk, a way to pad the bottom line while shifting the burden. And now, the league finds itself stuck between growth and backlash. Their salary offers are bold, but the strategy is flawed. They're chasing financial scale at the expense of infrastructure. And the optics? Terrible. A historic pay jump should be a celebration, not a battleground. The message they're sending to players is, you're lucky we're offering you this much, so don't ask for anything else. That's not growth. That's a trap. This isn't just a business disagreement. It's a turning point. One where players like Clark are using their influence to fight for a version of the league that supports all of its athletes, not just the ones who signed the million-dollar deals. If the WNBA pushes forward with this plan, they risk alienating their talent base. Not just the current stars, but the ones watching from college, overseas, and beyond. The ones trying to decide if this league is worth it. Because let's be honest, if Clark, with all her visibility, can get treated like this, what message does that send to the rest? The league has a choice. It can double down on professional responsibility and hope players fall in line. Or it can listen, adjust, rebuild trust. Because the alternative? A fractured union, disgruntled stars, rookies showing up late to a broken season, and international talent quietly walking away. Caitlin Clark refusing Team USA isn't the problem, it's the alarm. So what do you think? Is the WNBA doing what it needs to grow, or is it risking everything by gutting player support? Is Clark standing up for something bigger? Or is the league moving on without? Drop your thoughts below. Like if you're following the chaos, share this if you think more people need to see the cracks behind the scenes. And subscribe so you don't miss what happens next, because this story is far from over. And the next move could decide, and here's where things get even more tense. Caitlin Clark refusing to play for Team USA didn't just ignite headlines. It sent a message loud enough to shake the WNBA boardrooms. She didn't do it for clout. She didn't do it for ego. She did it because she's staring at a league that wants to cash in on her name while asking her and every other player to take a hit behind the scenes. Clark's not backing down because the issues on the table aren't cosmetic. They're foundational. This is a battle over what kind of league the WNBA is becoming. Is it one that elevates its athletes while it grows? Or one that sheds its support systems the minute there's money on it? The timing of a protest is no coincidence. The housing issue is the final straw. Since 2016, team-provided housing has been a non-negotiable benefit. It created consistency. It made relocation bearable. It helped players with kids, with families, with off-court lives. And now, Just as the league is raking in unprecedented revenue, that support is being yanked away under the guise of professional maturity. Let's be clear. Stripping benefits because players are finally being paid more is a flawed and frankly dangerous mindset. It assumes the money cancels out the support, that once you're earning a certain salary, the league can start taking things back. That's not how leadership works. That's not how trust is built. And Clark knows it. She also knows that younger players, especially those just coming from the NCAA system, are the most vulnerable in this new setup. Starting the season earlier, right in the middle of March Madness, throws a massive wrench into that transition. Those final weeks of the college season are everything. It's where stars are born, storylines peak, and fan engagement spikes. It's also where rookies mentally and physically prepare to go pro. Under the WNBA's proposed schedule change, those rookies now have to skip vital training camp time. They miss early season games. They're forced to catch up in a league where cohesion and timing matter. And worse, these same rookies are now expected to cover housing, travel logistics, and personal expenses as they jump from college dorms to professional uncertainty. Clark didn't just live that transition. She dominated it. She's speaking up now because she knows how brutal that rookie window is, how fast things move, how fragile development can be if the league doesn't provide structure. But this isn't just about rookies. The league's proposed prioritization clause, which punishes international players who don't show up by the start of the WNBA season, adds another layer of chaos. A huge chunk of WNBA athletes play overseas in the off-season. It's not just extra income. It's critical financial survival for players not making max contracts. By forcing these players to choose between fulfilling overseas commitments and maintaining WNBA eligibility, the league is gambling with its global talent pool. They're sending a message: be here or get suspended. That may sound firm, but it's also reckless. International players bring not only skill, but audience reach, global credibility, and cultural diversity that has always set the WNBA apart. Threatening that balance to enforce a stricter calendar, without addressing the financial realities behind it, is short-sighted. And here's where the negotiation optics really go sideways. The league is positioning itself as the one making all the concessions. They've bumped up salaries. They're offering a max that could reach $1 million. They're sharing revenue. From the outside, it looks generous. But the players and their union aren't rejecting those offers because they're greedy. They're rejecting them because the cost of that raise is being offset by losing basic support. The financial boost sounds impressive until you realize it's tied to cuts in benefits and an unrealistic season start. It's a bait and switch. They're trying to redefine what professional means, but they're doing it by hollowing out the very structure that made the league functional. And the message to the players is this: you asked for the money, now deal with the consequences. Caitlin Clark is one of the few who has the visibility, influence, and guts to say no. She knows exactly what this fight means. Her decision to walk away from Team USA during the storm isn't about medals or tournaments. It's about forcing the WNBA to answer a simple question: what kind of league do you want to be? Because right now, it's looking like a league obsessed with chasing legitimacy through revenue while ignoring what makes it sustainable. It's players. You don't build long-term success by pushing your talent to the edge. You don't inspire loyalty by stripping away stability. And you definitely don't retain global appeal by pitting international schedules against your own, especially without offering viable support systems to bridge the gap. Clark refusing to participate on the international stage is the kind of move that forces a league to listen. It's no longer just boardroom negotiation. It's not just bargaining tables and press releases. It's public, it's disruptive, and it's completely... Because let's not forget, this isn't just about current players. It's about who's watching. Future stars, college athletes, international prospects. Every one of them is paying attention to how the WNBA handles this moment. And if they see a league where your reward for success is fewer benefits, more scheduling pressure, and threats of suspension, that doesn't look like progress. That looks like a warning. Growth doesn't have to come at the cost of support. But right now, the WNBA is trying to force that trade. And this is where it gets dangerous. The perception that owners are doing everything while players are being unreasonable, that's narrative control. It ignores the fact that the players are asking for sustainability, not luxury. Housing isn't a perk. It's a necessity when you uproot your life every season. Flexible scheduling isn't laziness. It's about aligning with realities like the NCAA calendar and international play. So where does this go? If the WNBA leadership doubles down, they risk creating a season that starts without key players, without rookies ready to go, and without the unified locker room energy that built the league's reputation in the first place. If they walk it back, they can salvage this. They can show they're listening. That they understand financial growth doesn't mean abandoning foundational support. But that window is closing. And Clark's refusal is the clearest sign, yet that players are done waiting for the league to figure it out. She doesn't need the spotlight. She already has it. This isn't about attention. It's about accountability. And the league? They're at a crossroads. Either they admit the missteps, renegotiate smarter and protect the foundation, or they gamble it all on the idea that money alone will hold a league together. Spoiler, it won't. Here's what people still aren't fully grasping. Caitlin Clark doesn't need the WNBA. That's not arrogance. That's reality. She's one of the most marketable athletes in the country. Before even playing a full rookie season, her endorsement portfolio is stacked. She pulls massive ratings. She's brought record-setting crowds to arenas that couldn't sell out popcorn last year. And now, the face of the league is taking a stand. Not because she wants more, but because the entire system is starting to buckle under the weight of its own contradictions. This isn't just protest. This is a referendum. When Caitlin Clark says no to Team USA, she's rejecting more than a jersey. She's challenging the entire model. The narrative the league keeps pushing, that players should just accept these trade-offs because things are better than they used to be, doesn't cut it anymore. Because better isn't always good. Especially when the price tag is player stability, rookie development, international relationships, and basic support systems. Let's not forget, the WNBA has marketed Clark nonstop since she stepped foot in the league. They put her on promos, sold her face on tickets, and used her presence to lure media attention that hadn't been there in years. But when the policy decisions come down, she gets treated like everyone else, expected to quietly absorb the cost of change and keep the momentum going with a smile. That disconnect, it's catching up. The proposed CBA isn't some minor tweak. It's a transformation of the league's day-to-day reality. Sure, a 7-figure salary ceiling sounds revolutionary on paper. It is. But that salary doesn't touch most players. The average salary is going up? Great. But most won't hit that max. And meanwhile, every player, rookie or vet, has to adjust to a stripped-down support system with higher personal overhead. That's not professionalization. That's shifting responsibility, with no infrastructure to support it. When Clark, arguably the biggest star the league has ever seen, steps back and says, this isn't good enough, it forces the public to take a closer look at what's really going on behind the salary, because the league's justification for cutting housing was simple. The players are making more now, so they should act like professionals and pay for their own living. But act like professionals can't be code for pay more to receive less. Especially when that same logic is being used to fast-track a season that starts mid-March in direct conflict with March Madness, one of the few basketball events in the U.S. that actually captures mainstream national attention. Let's do the math. The WNBA wants its rookies to finish their NCAA season, get drafted, uproot their lives, find housing in a new city, and report to training camp, all within days. And now, if they miss that, they'll be starting their professional careers late, without a pre-season, with personal expenses piling up, and under pressure to immediately perform. It's not just unrealistic, it's damaging. And it doesn't stop there. The prioritization clause that penalizes international players for arriving late could get the global talent pipeline the WNBA has built for decades, forcing players to choose between finishing international contracts that often pay more than the WNBA itself. And being eligible to play in the U.S. is a gamble, a dangerous one. If those players walk, the league loses not just talent, but international credibility. And when Clark protests that kind of short-sightedness, it's not about protecting herself. It's about calling out a league that's pushing short-term wins over long-term sustainability. And here's the kicker. This didn't have to happen. Yes, the financial offers are massive improvements. Yes, The league is trying to grow. But progress doesn't mean tearing out the foundation while you're still building the second floor. Cutting benefits, compressing the schedule, and forcing players to carry the cost of change isn't evolution. It's exploitation wrapped in a raise. The players are not rejecting growth. They're demanding balance. And when the WNBA tries to spin that as inflexibility, it only adds fuel to the fire. Because the one thing players have asked for, again, is to be treated like professionals who are valued, not just when it's... That's why Caitlin Clark stepping away from Team USA isn't just a dramatic moment. It's a defining one. The league can't afford to alienate her. But more importantly, it can't afford to ignore the reason she's doing it. Because if Clark, who has every reason to play it safe, decides this battle is worth fighting publicly, what does that say about how deep the problem really is? This isn't a personal protest. It's strategic, and it's risky, but it's also necessary. Because if she doesn't push back now, the next generation of players inherits a league that keeps growing financially while shrinking in terms of actual support. That's not a win. That's a warning. So what's the path forward? It's not complicated. The league needs to revisit its schedule plans. It needs to reinstate housing, especially for rookies and mid-tier players. It needs to respect the international calendar, or risk losing the very players who give the WNBA global legitimacy. And most of all, it needs to stop treating professional growth and player welfare like they're mutually exclusive. Because they're not. The league doesn't rise because of numbers on a spreadsheet. It rises because of the people who step on the court every night and carry the weight of that logo on their backs. And right now, Caitlin Clark is reminding everyone exactly what that weight looks to. Let us know what you think. Is this the right stand at the right time? Should the league be listening more? Or are the players expecting too much? Drop a comment. Hit like if you're following every development. Share this with someone who needs to see what's really going on. And don't forget to subscribe. Because if the WNBA doesn't listen soon, this story won't just shake the season. It might break it.